Here in the southern hemisphere, on the edge of the immense Antarctic continent, lies the French base of Dumont d'Urville. Throughout the year, research scientists and technicians visit this base. Fresh supplies and relief teams working here at the end of the Earth can be shipped in only during the austral summer. For several years now, the Astrolabe has been ensuring the 5 rotations necessary for the logistic needs of the French base. In difficult navigating conditions, the Astrolabe makes its way down to the South Pole from the port of Hobart in Tasmania. Descending due south in the Indian Ocean, through the roaring 40s, the howling 50s, to 66 degrees south, to finally touch the outer edge of the Antarctic ice pack. It was in the month of January 1840 that Admiral Dumont d'Urville discovered this territory and named it after his wife. This new land became Terre Adélie. Larger than Europe, a desert of ice, the Antarctic is the Earth's coldest and windiest continent. After the era of seal hunters and explorers came the era of research. And so 1 century after its discovery, scientific bases of different nationalities were set up on this immense continent of ice. Research here has at its disposal a vast natural laboratory for studying how animal species and man adapt to an extreme environment. It also opens up a window to space. The Antarctic stations constitute veritable training centers for the future lunar and Martian bases.
We see these sorts of ice conditions practically every year in early November. There's always 200 to 300 kilometers of brash ice in front of Dumont d'Urville, and at least 100 kilometers of pack ice.
In front of the Astrolabe, broken pack ice stretches out to the horizon. Made up of huge plates of ice that separate and then join, driven by the force of the wind and the tides.
There were 2 years in a row where we only took 2 or 3 days to cross the brash and the pack ice. But this year, there's a small barrier in our way. We're going to need 3, 4, maybe 5 days to follow the same route as last year.
Allô, d'Urville?
Hello, d'Urville.
Allô, bonjour.
Hello, good morning, it's Patrice. I suppose you're getting the same weather we are.
On a passé une première zone de berg hier soir.
We passed an initial area of icebergs last night. We're on the move now, but the ice is less open this morning. Okay, I'm going to switch on the modem. We'll wait for the photo.
For Patrice Godon and Pierre David in charge of the expedition, the first satellite photos will enable them to locate the thick pack ice and better choose their route.
Come see. For the time being, we're stuck. The ice seems to be moving quite a bit because between two photos taken on the same day, the situation's changed. See here? Within half a day, this area of open sea is no longer there.
When the French Polar Institute's ship penetrates the first ice, the shortest route is not a straight line. The satellite photos are picked up by the meteorological station at Dumont d'Urville and then sent on to the Astrolabe via the Inmarsat satellite antenna. These photos allow the ship's captain to find the clearest path through the ice.
We got this photo from satellite NOAA. It shows us the Antarctic continent in white. When it goes from white to grey, then black, that's where the sea's clear. We also get it in infrared, which gives us the temperatures. When it's black, like here, the sea's clear. Then when it's orange, it's ice, or pack of around -2 to -3 degrees. The Astrolabe can get through that easily. With the yellow areas, you're into -11, which is a higher density of ice. We can combine this information with a helicopter reconnaissance. This helps us improve the details on the satellite picture, which doesn't show the small cracks and channels that we can see from a helicopter. If the helicopters can fly, we'll get an idea of the thickness of the ice. It can still take us maybe 3, 4, 5, even 10 days to arrive as close as possible to the base, so we can transfer the equipment and the personnel by helicopter.
As the Astrolabe approaches the zone of icebergs, the crew takes advantage of the relatively calm seas to bring out the 2 helicopters that boarded in Hobart. They're assembled on the deck by the mechanic and the 3 Australian pilots.
Yes, it's a very handy machine. It can land on the back of a ship and it can fly, it can take people, it can take a lot of cargo to the base. So yeah, it's a very handy machine to use down here. They use the helicopters for ice reconnaissance, just to pick a clear pathway through the ice for the ship if there's a lot of ice around. I like the isolation. That's really good. The variety in the work, doing something different all the time. Just being in Antarctica, it's so different. I've never been anywhere else like this in the world, and it's just a really good experience to come and enjoy it all. We fly all over Australia. The conditions are different with. We don't fly in a lot of snow in Victoria, but we do a lot of work in very isolated areas, so in that respect it's similar. There are similarities between the work we do in the desert and Antarctica.
Once they're ready, the 2 helicopters will be used to transport vital equipment for survival on the Dumont d'Urville base. They will also be used to unload the 150 tons of equipment intended for the future Franco-Italian base Concordia, presently under construction. Now begins the long, slow progress amidst the icebergs to find a way through and get as close as possible to the base.
This is insurance, just in case there's a problem with the engine. If we have to go into the water, this will protect me, keep me dry, warm, until the other helicopter comes along to pick me up. So it's just in case something goes wrong. It's probably a bit harder conditions than what we're used to in Australia, but it's all a challenge. It's good fun, it's so different.
In the morning, the helicopters are sent out on a reconnaissance flight. The aim? To assess the condition of the brash and the pack ice so as to complete the information received by satellite. The helicopter locates cracks in the ice, channels which become ports of entry to Dumont d'Urville. "65 meters long, the Astrolabe is equipped with two 3,000 horsepower engines. The reinforced drive shaft and the entirely steel-lined hull enable it to sail at 3 knots in pack ice up to 1 meter thick.
There are two cases. Either you have a very powerful icebreaker, in which case navigation skills, instinct, and experience are of less importance, or you have a more standard boat. On this boat, we have to take advantage of all opportunities in places where the ice is weak to get ahead. They're not maps. In fact, we're wrong to call them maps. They're satellite photos that give you a snapshot of the state of the ice. There's a large pocket of water ahead, 45 kilometers from here, so we've still got 45 difficult kilometers to cross. It may seem strange, but in fact, there's a huge pocket of water 80 by 60 kilometers right up against the base, whereas here we're completely stuck for the time being.
Just like the winter dwellers of Terre Adélie, the pioneers of Mars, in their spaceships or on their planetary base, will also experience moments like this, cut off from the world. But on the red planet, it will mean years of separation. They will have to adapt to a treeless world of ice and wind. This is one of the reasons why NASA is carrying out research on this continent.
986 minus 007. Alpha Whiskey Kilo.
Alpha Whiskey Kilo from the Astrolabe, go ahead.
Still got about 40% fuel, so I won't need me for a little while. But
After 5 days navigating through the ice, the Australian team's 2 helicopters aboard the Astrolabe have just made their first contact with the Dumont d'Urville base.
Durville.
Hello, D'Urville.
Allô, bonjour. là, c'est
Hello,
Patrice.
it's Patrice. Are you okay?
On doit être à peut-être
We're about 8 or 9 miles from the base.
51-22.
Does that mean we can do 2 or 3 rotations?
D'ici ce soir, oui, on peut
Between
faire,
now and tonight, if the cloud coverage stays like this, we can do 2 or 3 trips.
Si ça empire pas, on peut faire 3 rotations.
For the 9 months of winter, 25 people, 2 being women, live in complete isolation on the Dumont d'Urville base. For the first rotation, everyone is impatiently waiting for letters, vegetables, and fresh fruit. These are the first things onto the helicopter.
We're here to unload the ship and fly the passengers and all the cargo to the base. Sometimes we may get close to the base, sometimes maybe 80, 100 kilometres from the base.
Yep, no, it's fine. It's really used to look all right too, so no, that'll be okay.
Yeah, there may be a few loads of passengers at the end of it all. Some food, the food that was going to the continent, is now going to go to Lyon. And then some passengers after that to be taken to Didier. At the end of it all, some food, the food that was going to the continent, is now going to go to Lyon, and then some passengers after that to be taken to Didier.
Two weeks after leaving the port of Hobart, the Astrolabe reaches the Antarctic continent and the Dumont d'Urville base.
De D10, il peut partir à 17h de D10 ou de Cap Prud'homme, comme tu veux, il n'y a pas de problème.
Ok, donc il part ici à 17h et puis il arrivera là-bas à peu près une demi-heure après.
Built on a small island, Dumont d'Urville is 5 kilometers from the Prud'homme base, which is on the continent and is the point of departure for equipment destined to the future Concordia base. At an altitude of 3,500 meters and over 1,000 kilometers inland, Concordia, once completed, will experience winter temperatures that can fall as low as minus 70 degrees centigrade.
I'm just on my way there, so I'll give you a call in about 2 minutes.
Yeah, stand by.
At the moment, what we're doing is directing to the pilot. It's very hard for him to see where the man is on the ground there, where he's hooking up the load. So what I've got to do is guide the pilot to either tell him to move left or right or up or down, and to tell him when the load is secured to the helicopter so that he can actually lift it up and take the load away. So we're basically eyes for the pilot on the ground.
Est-ce que tu me reçois mieux maintenant, Jean-Paul? À toi.
Ça y est, je te reçois 5 sur 5.
Bon, il va y avoir 1 ou 2 conteneurs 9 mètres cubes sur la piste du Lion et du kérosène. Est-ce que tu peux réceptionner à toi?
Ouais, on va réceptionner, on sait que tu préfères pour les mecs. Astrolabe, Alpha Whiskey Kilo.
Alpha Whiskey Kilo from the Astrolabe, go ahead.
Yeah, Roger, I just dropped a load at Cape Padom. The winds are really bad now. They're about 40, 50 knots and a lot of snow. It's too dangerous to go back there. Yeah, just let them know to keep things moving. There is a bit of a storm or bad weather on the way towards the ship, so we'd better get everybody to DDU. The weather is still okay there in Lyon, so we just keep it all moving quickly. That'd be good. Over.
Yeah, I can keep an eye on it, Eddie. I can see it coming.
The Astrolabe's mission is almost complete. It has accomplished the changeover of scientists and technicians. All the equipment intended for the Concordia base has been unloaded by the helicopters.
The katabatic winds are cold winds which come down from the continent. They come down many thousands of feet, and they can be up to 200, 300 kilometres an hour sometimes. So they're very fast, cold winds. Normally the wind builds up, so you get a bit of warning, but we're never more than 20 or 30 minutes from the ship anyway, so we can always get back, hopefully. Yeah.
At the end of the day, the bad weather sets in. The 2 helicopters that have just completed their final rotation for Dumont d'Urville must be dismantled. In a few hours, it will be too late. The rising wind threatens to break up the ice surrounding the Astrolabe. In rough seas, it will be difficult to dismantle the helicopters, which are still on the deck. What's more, it will become impossible with the rolling of the boat to stow them in the hold. Suspended from the end of a crane, it's a matter of centimeters. Isolated and difficult to reach, the Antarctic remains a myth. Even if it no longer represents the odyssey of ships caught in the ice, nor the heroic conquest of the beginning of the century, this unique continent has forced our modern world to give it a very special status. Following the researchers' example, all the countries of the world have named it International Land of Peace, dedicated to science. They have made this, our planet's irreplaceable observatory, a protected natural reserve.